Hello friends, this is W.W. Brock, and today I'm going to start reading this book, Cougar, a wildlife thriller set in the low country of South Carolina. This is going to be chapter at a time on YouTube. I should caution you if you're squeamish about animal violence and some animal on human violence and some human on human violence, that you may want to pass this over. However, there is no profanity or gratuitous sex in any of my novels. So if you can stand a little bit of violence, which is based on real violence done by real animals and real people, fictional of course, then I think this might be for you. Anyway, give it a try. I appreciate you listening. This will be the first chapter. And if you like it, enough like it, I'll put the rest of the novel up there. Thank you in advance. And by the way, for those of you that don't think I look like WW, you can find my picture on the back of any of my novels. I'll put one up here on the video. I don't look like the old Louis L'Amour character anymore. I lost the hat. Anyway, God bless y'all. Hope you enjoy. Cougar, a wildlife thriller set in the low country of South Carolina by W.W. Brock. Dedication. I would like to dedicate this book to my wife, the love of my life. Without her support and encouragement, I would not have started writing. Chapter 1. It should also be noted that a wild mountain lion or cougar has not been documented in South Carolina in many decades. The only possibility of such an animal would be as an escaped, quote-unquote, exotic pet. South Carolina Department of Natural Resources, SCDNR, 2012. Honey, come here and see what your cute little kitty is doing, Val Simmons called to his wife as he watched the family feline use its right front index claw to stick the little goldfinch in the abdomen so its feet would twitch in pain. With his left paw, the cat held the bird down on its back while he practiced his torture techniques over and over again. Charlene Simmons came to see what Val's excitement was and then hurried back into the house in shock and disbelief that her precious little cat would be so cruel. Cats are cats, Val called at her retreating back as he kicked the cat off of the dying bird. Following his wife into the back bedroom, he tried to explain that all cats play with their prey, from the small house cats to the biggest of cats, the African lion. The biggest cat that we have to worry about here is a cougar, he explained, and fortunately for us, they're born to kill and eat deer. Do we have cougars here? I mean, right here at the river, she asked. Val was on his way out the door to meet his hunting buddies for a couple of beers and a game of pool at Willie's, a little beer joint that they frequented, so he replied, Don't know. The wildlife folks say no, but some of the guys have heard them scream while deer hunting. Hey, I've got to run. Be back in a couple of hours. She listened as he drove the old Ford out of the driveway and squealed the tires on the blacktop. With a sigh, she thought it would be nice if Val spent a little more time at home and less time in the bar. But he had been a good husband and a provider for the 6 years of their marriage, even if she didn't have as much of his attention as she would have liked. The small white-tailed doe stood at the edge of the creek and looked around nervously before lowering her head to drink. It was her last act before the massive 270-pound male cougar landed on her back and sank his razor-sharp teeth into her neck. They rolled together in the shallow water, and then the cougar dragged her effortlessly up the creek bank onto higher ground. The doe was still thrashing about in pain and terror, so the big cat relaxed his hold on the back of her neck long enough to clamp his powerful jaws around her throat, crushing the windpipe. When her struggles became weaker, he sank his teeth into the area just below her ribcage and tore the skin and muscle open to reveal her intestines. Using his teeth and the needle-sharp claws on his massive front paws, he tore at the still beating heart, which spurted the remaining life's blood even as it was eaten. After consuming the soft organs and about 20 pounds of meat, the cougar pulled what was left of the carcass to a large windfall and buried it instinctively under a pile of leaves and dirt, saving it for another meal. He then retreated several hundred yards to a large live oak tree and made the 15-foot jump to the lower branches in one effortless leap. Satiated for now, the big cougar slept, legs dangling from the main branch where he lodged himself until the barking, yipping cry of the coyote pack running toward his tree alerted the big cat to the danger that his kill would soon be discovered. While he had killed and eaten coyotes before, this pack of 20 was too big to consider attacking, even if it meant having to hunt another deer. As soon as the pack had run under the tree and toward the spot where he had cached his kill, the cougar jumped noiselessly to the ground and moved quickly in the opposite direction, anxious to put as much distance between him and the coyotes as possible. This was the third time in as many days that the coyotes had deprived the cougar from returning to his kill, and the big cat needed about 20 pounds of meat a day just to sustain him. After traveling several miles away from the pack of coyotes, he moved to his favorite haunt, the sandy, oak-covered hummock that rose about 20 feet above the Pee River near Highway 701, deserted at this early morning hour, and settled in to wait for daybreak and the good possibility that dawn would bring the chance of some prey. 4 o'clock. Charlene is going to be some kind of pissed if I don't get home right away, Val slurred to his buddies. Drunken laughter and shouts of wuss rang out from the bar as he staggered out of the door into his truck while fumbling for the keys that seemed to be stuck in the pocket of his jeans. Soon the old Ford was squealing out of the parking lot of Willie's and headed for home and Charlene. The unlit road seemed even darker to Val's beer-numbed brain, and he was having trouble keeping the truck on the pavement. Just before the long bridge that crosses the PD swamp on Highway 701 from Conway, South Carolina, the right front tire dropped off the road edge, and Val jerked the steering wheel to the left in a drunken effort to pull the truck back up on the pavement. The back end broke loose with a shrieking of sliding tires and a smell of rubber smoke. As the Ford spun in a slow quarter circle, hitting the guardrail at the access for the public boat landing, and then plummeting backwards through the small opening in the guardrail down the steep embankment before rolling over violently and pitching Val out of the cab through the now open passenger door. Val's body continued tumbling for more than 30 feet after the truck crashed into the trees, and he came to rest on his back, bleeding profusely from deep gashes to his head and upper body, where he impacted the truck in the ground. Miraculously, but unfortunately, Val was still conscious when the big cat, drawn by his innate curiosity to the sound of the crash, found him lying in his blood in the bushes below the truck.